Sort of an early spring inspection, really, isn't it? 17th.
Yeah, I mean that's it's classed as an inspection because I'm just checking food levels, aren't I? So that that is an inspection of sorts. But that's like that, you know. There's nothing. I mean, yesterday was really mild. It was 16 degrees when I was in Barton checking the hives there. And you think, oh, it'd be nice just to go in, but there was absolutely no point. The only thing I could do is squish that queen.
Yeah.
Then the hive is fucking doomed.
Yeah, so that's more of a check of just making sure they've got food, isn't it?
Yeah,
And they're healthy, really.
But I think they've got loads of food. And I think I've gone on to take. Oh, let's see, they're getting through though. Look. See all that? They're at. Oh, there, look. But there's nothing there now. I think they're quite heavy. I don't want to keep putting too much food. I think I could have already fed them a little bit. Because you don't want to make them fill up all the cells with food, fondant.
Yeah.
When they start bringing nectar in, the queen's got nowhere to lay. So I might just take it all off, all the fondant off on the heavier hives beginning of next month, and then they can start eating through their own stores on the frames to create a bit of space. That's the plan anyway. But like I said, all hives are different. That's the problem. They're not all the same. But they're over there as well. So they're certainly on 7 frames, 8 frames at least. Anyway, alright. Did put that wooden block in, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I think I'm 1050, I reckon you start getting dimensions, don't you? I think I'm getting it. You laugh, I tell you, my memory is getting. I used to always have good memory, but I don't know. And this hive just loves propolising everything up. I think if we stay there long enough, mate, they'll be propolising us up. This is going to be a bugger to respect next month or end of next month, hopefully. And all that there.
Oh, yeah. Mind you, show they're healthy, don't it?
Yeah, but they are gunking everywhere up. So you can see what they've done to that though.
Yeah.
But you know, scientists reckon they don't recognise wire, so they don't know what it is, so they just propolise it. They don't actually know the material of wire, so to them it's just a hull. But wood, obviously, they recognise wood. So when you just put block over the crown board hull, they don't propolise it necessarily. This insulation's worked a treat and all. I'm really pleased with that. Look at that, dry as a bone in there.
Yeah.
So no condensation, because that's another thing it's really worked well this year, because obviously with that insulation like it is, I mean just one layer, that reflector text or whatever it's called, I don't think it'd be enough. That's why I sort of put 4 layers on a sheet. It's on crown board. Obviously that really maintains the warmth, because if you didn't have that, it'd hit the cold surface, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Really cold, and then the condensation would drip down on them. Well, that's worked well anyway. So this one, it was a swarm of the crew maroon I got last year.
Right, swarm from Kurma Road. The main thing we're checking is food and making sure there's no condensation, but we'll sort that out with the bits of insulation.
Reflector text. Eating away there, look around the edge.
Yeah.
The crown board hull, and they just eat their way into the edges. So they're looking alright. Guys. I realised as well, because there's always a big discussion on ventilation on beehives. So I can tell you now, I've used solid floors, open mesh floors, and it doesn't make it. And wider entrances or smaller entrances like that one don't make no difference as long as that's insulated and there's no ventilation, totally blocked at the top, there's no condensation. Because there's people who have an open mesh floor, right?
Yeah, they like the air to flow through it, don't they?
They don't leave the crown board hole open. So what happens is that's going straight through there, up through the cluster, up through the crown board hole, and straight through the vents. So yeah, they don't get condensation,
But they're cold.
but it's not very comfortable for the bees, is it? So people go, yeah, that works really well. Yeah, it will do, but you're getting a constant draft going straight through the cluster to block off the top and sort it. Right, let's check this out. So, you should see him. Look at them, look.
Yeah, that's cool.
See how full there. They're getting there. God, that's good weight in there though. And you've got to remember the actual polyhive weigh nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel the weight in that. That's a lot. It's good. They ain't gonna go nowhere in that wind, are they? Yeah.
These are active.
You don't look, you can see what the rafters in here. Shut the door. You can see how lovely and dry that inside that roof is. That one's a bit lighter than some others, but it's fine. They've got fondant on. But on the heavy ones, I'm going to take the fondant off, say beginning of next month, then through March. They can get rid of their own stores, and that'll release some room for the queen to start, really start to lay, because she will. You put the wooden block in that one.
I'm not sure. I don't think you have, to be honest.
So I'm keeping the 2 wooden blocks on there. When I come winter time again, I can block both of the crown board holes up. or block one of them up, for example, put some fondant on another. But they're there, they're in there, the eek's there, the insulation's there, and obviously in summer the eek and the insulation will just sit on top of the supers anyway, so it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't get too hot or anything like that.
When will you add the supers on? Early? Spring?
Just how big they get, or early, there'll be some who will be...
Yeah, you don't really know till you do the full inspection when it's get a bit warmer, do you?
You just don't know. Some will take a bit more longer to build up than others, but I've got I've got some drawn supers and that to go straight on. Pretty good though, isn't it?
Yeah,
for them. Yeah, that's not super heavy. But then you've got to remember, once again, this is a poly hive, and the weight in there is obviously they're super light, so but there is weight in there. So they've got the fondant on. So there's enough food in there. Stick that on. Oh, that's around the slab, isn't it? So this poly hive, it's got an open mesh floor, right? But you get a tray with it. It's an Obella one. So you think, well, you leave that out and it's got the open mesh floor. There's no vents in this because these, well, you can take these out to create vents, but they're sealed. But I put the tray in, I think, well, why not? They don't have a great gaping hole in a tree, do they? In the wild. No. So I'll take this out, you should be able to see where they're. This is a good picture. So there you can see where they're feeding. 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frame, 4 frame.
Yeah.
So you can see where they are. So this is in there like that. So they're around there, exactly where the fondant was when we lifted it off. So you can see if you can see any varroa mites. See, I can't see any. So these were all treated with the Apivar strips. I left them for 8 weeks, so it's quite a decent time. And I also done their 2 vape oxalic acid vape treatments. So you can see they're clearly, this is my point about condensation. People say, oh, I've never put these in, I'd keep it always open vented, so they've got that breeze, circulation. There's no water on there, is he?
No.
And that's totally sealed.
Yeah, they want to be warm, don't they?
So they can regulate their own environment. Trouble is, we think what we think is, so that's totally sealed. They've only got the front entrance, and there's no condensation there at all, is there? So that proves the point. They don't need to be open vented. The reason I mention it, because everyone's banging on all the time about winter, about ventilation or not, what to do, and condensation, but it really is that simple. Is block up the holes with the wooden blocks, or a block of fondant and then wooden block. The 2 lots of insulation, the reflector text, and the roof on. And I had no problem with insulation. And the fronts some are still open mesh floors or solid. The bigger entrances, there's more of a gap in the entrances, or the smaller ones. There's been no difference, mate. And then I've got condensation, and they're all fine. I don't need that on, do I really? It's wrapped on a slab, isn't it? Under the slab. Happy days.